All right, guys, this is episode 26 of the Sonic Road podcast. My guest today is independent author and fellow rock and roll enthusiast, Becky Franzel. Becky came on the show and we had a really fun conversation about our favorite albums and books of 2025. So if that interests you guys, check out the show notes below and we'll put all the bands and books that we talked about in the notes, so you guys can check it out if you so desire. So here it is, my conversation with author Becky Franzel about her favorite albums and books of 2025. I know we've talked on Instagram a lot just to set up the conversation. You're a rock and roll enthusiast, and that's how we started talking. I think it was through the Handsome Jack Instagram, right? We're both fans on there, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, something like that, or Olden Witches, or King
Yeah.
Buffalo. It's like a one big smorgasbord, right?
Yeah, all those guys are friends. So I think the first time I saw Handsome Jack was open up for All Them Witches at the Grog Shop, probably, I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe? No, close to that.
Yeah, I think I was at that show actually. That was like 2018 or 2017, something like that.
Yeah, pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Might have been right before it. I think that was on the self-titled tour, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it could have been. I just remember Olden Witches and Handsome Jack were touring around that time together, which is a phenomenal show. It's one of those where it's fun to see like really gone since for both of them.
And I know we've talked, but like Handsome Jack is like criminally underrated right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people know them like in the industry. Like I keep talking to people about them and keep shouting out their name because I want them to be bigger in America.
And that's one of those things where you put them on and people are like, who is this? Right? Yeah. Like it sounds like this, but it's not this.
Yeah.
And it's fun to see people's reactions to it.
Yeah. Hopefully they get huge in the next couple of years. And not too big, guys. Not too big. Maybe do some theaters. Let's get that big. I'm cool with it.
I don't want to pay $60, but
yeah. I think 60 is cheap.
I said that and then I was like, wait, no, that's more like $1,000. Let's say $1,000.
Yeah. I'm not doing that. Never doing that. I'm kind of done with that. Like even wrestling with it. The first thing I do is look at the price. Ooh, that's a cool show. How about no? We're not doing it.
Yeah. I think Rush just announced a tour. I mean, obviously Rush, this tour would be different, right? Because it'd be the last time they're touring. They said they weren't touring anymore. But even for nosebleed seats, it was like $1,000. And I was confused because their audience is working class, their audience is Rust Belt, right? And I was wondering, like, is the CEO going to be singing Working Man? I don't get it. Everyone has to get paid. So it's difficult to say, but I hope the right people are getting paid.
I hope they're at least self-aware enough to not play that song.
I hope so, right? Right?
You paid $1,000 ticket. Sorry.
Yeah. You're not, yeah, exactly.
Just to geek out on them a little bit, I have an excellent drummer filling in for Neil Peart. Those are obviously huge shoes to fill, but Anika Nils is badass. You should follow her if you don't know who she is.
Oh, she's solid too. One of my side gigs right now is I work for a company called Girls Rock. And it's funny because people will come up to our stand and they won't understand what the organization is. They'll be like, ah, ha, ha, girls do rock, ha, ha, kind of like a sexist thing. And then they'll be like, oh, well, Rush does have a girl drummer now. And there have been musicians before, but I'm glad that you're seeing it now, right? Because Rush is stereotypically a dude band. It's cool to see her transcend like that. Oh, and she's good for a girl. There are people saying, oh, well, she's good, period. Right. And that's always cool to see.
Right. I've been following her for years now. I'm not a big fan of her original music. I'm just mesmerized by her drumming because she does a lot of, it sounds like Euro pop. I don't know how to really genreify music. It's not my thing, but I just like watching her play drums because she is awesome. I've been talking to people about her for years. Like my drummer.
So tight. She's so tight. And you're a drummer as well, right? So you probably know better what to look at than I do, right? But the solid and the precision and the focus, she's very good.
Yeah, highly educated too. You can tell she's writing out charts and stuff. I don't know her background, but it's all about that playing for me. But I'm so happy for her that she got that gig. That's so cool, man. She's got to do an awesome job for sure.
Yeah.
We probably should have done this at the beginning, but just introduce yourself, let everybody know that's going to listen to this. Just give a short background on who you are and what you do, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Becky Franzel. I am a writer from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I kind of run the gamut in what I write. I like writing fiction, goofy satire stuff. I like writing nonfiction. So currently I'm working on a project exploring women in vintage banding culture. Very interesting, very cool. I also write memoirs, just more self-reflection. I think it's important to talk about your life and your experiences to add to that global conversation. So that's a little bit about me. I love vintage vanning. I like talking with people. I love meeting people. I run a writing group. I like exploring the world. I think it's interesting. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Cool. What's your current work? I know you're promoting a new book, I Don't Belong Here. Is that an old book and you're redoing it, or it's
Yeah. So it's a re-release of my first two books. So we were talking about the Hands of Jack Alden Witches tour. That book is about basically what happened is I had a boyfriend who passed by suicide, and Alden Witches was the last band we saw together. So I spent that following year on the road just trying to find myself again, just randomly going to Alden Witches shows, trying to recreate that experience. But obviously, you can never do that. Even if you're just trying to go to the same concert again, that'll never happen. Yeah. So it's about that year on the road. And then there's the following book after that was a book of essays, basically explaining like, hey, where have I gone since? What did I take from this? What did I learn from this? Kind of more digestion. So yeah, then I'm taking that 10 years out and saying, hey, where am I now? What does that mean? How does music help that kind of stuff? How does live music help that kind of stuff?
Certainly.
Yeah.
That's really sad. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's a lot more common than people think. I think I've known that until I wrote the book.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people don't really know where to put that kind of story. So I was glad to have a container for people for a second there.
Yeah, it's wild. I've been through that myself with friends, suicide and like overdoses and things like that. And it's very prevalent in the art world, music, all that kind of stuff. It's been an ongoing conversation in my whole life. So yeah, I definitely understand that kind of loss. And that's interesting. I'll have to pick that up. I'm going to crack that open. I know we're going to talk about books. I'm a book and a half in for 2025. I'm still actually reading one. We'll get to it here in a second. So the premise of the podcast for everybody is that we're going to go over our favorite records and any of the books that I'm sure you've read more than me, but I have a couple that I've read.
I'm a slow reader. I wish I was a faster reader, but I'm a slow reader, so we're probably right on the same.
I am too. I used to read all the time, but life is fairly busy for me. So it's like, there's only so much time in the day, but that's my goal in 2026. I'm going back. I've got to practice what I preach. I still listen to music on vinyl. I do stream, but I'm trying to listen to more records and read more analog books. Less screen time, getting back more into the more analog side of life. And I think there's a movement that is actually pushing more towards that direction, which we can get into. Let's kind of go through it. What are some of the records that they don't have to be released in 2025. A lot of the podcasts do their top 25 or whatever. And we might even be a little late, but I think January is still reasonable to reflect back on 2025. So what are some of the records that have captured you in the last year that you can't stop, like the ones you're obsessed with?
Yeah, I think one of my favorites was I saw the band The Spitz open up for Emil and the Sniffers a few years ago. And it was fun to watch them because it was clear that they had a lot of talent, but they were still starting out, right? But then recently I saw them on tour again and they were phenomenal. It was like their growth was like that. So they came out with an album called Something to Consume that is it's so good. It's so heavy. It's so doomy. It's so sludgy. And it's fun. I think that they're so young too. So I'm excited to see where they go.
Okay. And as you go, I'm going to write them down because I'm going to check them out. What are they called again?
The Spitz. So DIESPITZ.
Okay. That's a good thing we did that. So people can... Okay, great.
Yeah, I try to write things phonetically, so then all of my spelling is completely off, and I just feel like I'm in a different world sometimes. Right. So always do spell out.
Awesome. Okay, great. And where did you see them at?
I saw them in Madison, and then I also saw them at a little venue called Cactus Club in Milwaukee.
Just real quick, how's the scene in Milwaukee? Are there a lot of music venues out there?
Yeah, so we actually have a pretty strong independent scene. Cactus Club is probably our most popular. It's been around for a while. Jack White, it was one of the first places that White Stripes played, and Jack White just helped them out with some grant money and stuff like that to build a ramp for more accessible entryway.
Yeah. Cool.
There's another place called X-Ray Arcade. That's super cool. It was opened up by an old punk rocker. I think it has new owners now, but the sound is phenomenal. I think they pay well. It's just independently minded, right? Yeah. I'd say those are my top two. They're just very cool. How about in Columbus?
I'm actually in Cleveland. I bounce back and forth between Columbus and Cleveland a lot, especially going to shows. At least that's how my life has been for the last 20 years. I've played Columbus a lot. I go to a lot of shows there. So Columbus is happening. Cleveland's also happening. We have a lot of music venues here, a lot of independents. It's mostly on the west side of town, more in the Lakewood area, in the flats. But we do have the Grog Shop by me, which is 5 miles down the road, which is pretty famous. I know you've been there before. There's also the Beachland by me, which is more on the east side. There's a ton of venues. Globe Iron is out there now, which is a brand new venue. It's a bigger venue. And our boys, All Them Witches, just leveled that place on this last tour. It was awesome. Yeah, so it's pretty happening as far as the venues go. I've been removed from the music scene as of the last few years since COVID. It's changed a lot, at least for me, because I'm a little bit older. I'm 48. I've been in the scene for 100 years, I guess, feels like it. So after COVID, it seemed like my whole social circle got decimated. With the music scene, everybody kind of split up, so it's been tough to regroup. But so as far as what's going on locally, I'm not really sure. So I'm just getting out tri-state and going all over the place to try and find new folks to build a new community with. That's been my whole premise of the podcast. So that's where I'm at with the local scene.
I do
But,
think music community changed after COVID too. That's interesting that you say that because I feel like I have a lot of friends who are more not necessarily just in Milwaukee, but through the internet of people like, oh, I saw this virtual show online. Then you meet people virtually, right?
Yeah.
Which is I think pretty cool. COVID was terrible, but I think that was the one benefit of like centering people around cool ideas, if as long as they're not bad ideas, I guess.
Right.
More
Yeah.
positive directions. It's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, I think you got to stretch out a little more to find new friends. That's kind of what we're doing, you know? Going back to All Them Witches, I know you just recently saw them on this tour. We'll get back to the records. We're just kind of ramble a little bit. But what I've noticed, we're talking about community in that culture and the All Them Witches fan base. And this kind of stretches off into the King Buffalo stuff too, because it's pretty much the same people, it feels like. Every show I've been to, I go to a lot of them by myself because just, you know, what I do. I've taken my lady with me a few times. She likes all that stuff too, but not as much as me. So I'll go off and do my own thing. But I always find kindred spirits immediately. Like I just start talking to strangers. They come up and start talking to me. We start buying each other drinks. And it hasn't felt like that for me in quite some time, like going to shows. But recently it has in this underground scene. So that's why I'm just really falling all in love with it all over again. It's really cool that way.
Yeah, especially since I feel like a lot of them tour. I guess it's like this in any music scene, but I see it more because now I'm interacting with it, right? Of the same kind of people tour together. So you start to see different people at different shows based on who's toured with who and things like that. And I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah. So hopefully that trend continues and we'll see how that goes. But 2026 is going to be off the chain for music. We can talk about that a little bit more later. So what else? What else are you listening to? I got that one written down. I'm going to check it out.
I'm not going to pronounce this right because I've only read it. Tropomagica. It's like a cumbia band, but they're psyche.
Okay.
So it's called Para Bailar Tripiar. I sound like the whitest person saying that. That's fine. But it's beautiful. It's really good. It's really dancey. It's fun. I recommend it. I also saw them at Cactus Club. So Cactus, again, it's just a good place to discover new music.
Cool. Very cool. Right on. Keep on going. Yeah. What you got?
Let's see. Local band shout outs called Sex Scenes. Everything Makes Me Sick. It's a good art band. They're super fun. Yeah, they're just fun. There's a lot of energy on stage. It's fun to watch them. It's just classic hardcore.
Gotcha.
I'm going to do a curveball and say Lily Allen's West End Girl. That's fine. It's totally fine if nobody agrees with me. I'm a huge Lily Allen fan. I loved her back in high school. So it's fun to see like, ooh, another Lily Allen. That's fun.
Yeah, right.
Howling Giant. Crucible and Ruin.
Oh,
and they're another one where they're just touring with everyone. I feel like I've seen them like 7 times just opening for people.
Yeah, I saw them with Elder. Yeah, a couple years ago.
Oh, nice. That's a great show.
Yeah, I talked to Zach recently. He was a great guy. Very cool to talk to. That band's very into Dungeons and Dragons, which is awesome.
Oh.
Like they're just so passionate about this stuff. I really got into their writing process and was really curious about that. But yeah, man, Crucible and Ruin is pretty good. I need to actually go back and listen to them a little bit more. I'm just inundated right now with music.
Oh, I know.
Hardworking band, man.
When we first talked about doing this podcast, I was like, I can't even remember what happened this year, right? And then I started going through all my favorite bands. I was like, dang, a lot of these people did release something this year. So
yeah, good choice. Okay, so we went to Howling Giant. What was the next one?
Howling Giant and Disastrous 5. I thought was phenomenal. So it's fun. I spend a lot of time driving. I travel a lot for work. So they're just a nice one to have on at 3 a.m. when you're just driving through highway, right?
Gotta love those road songs, man.
I know. They're phenomenal.
Okay, great. So you got a lot here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Keep on going, Becky.
Let's see. I'm going to do another curveball. Everyone is talking about, everyone in top whatever is talking about Bad Bunny's debut to Armas photos. I think it's great. There's one song called Cafe Con Ron that's just awesome.
Okay.
And again, it's just another one for driving where it's just groovy and you're like, all right, I can zone out to this and it still feels like there's a beat here. Let's see what else. Stone Jesus, Songs to Sun. I always love Stone Jesus.
Okay. You're very familiar with the name. Now, I still have to explore them a little bit. They're on my list. They're definitely in the stoner rock realm out of Europe, right? I've been really delving into that world. Gonna keep going too.
Yeah. How about yours?
Okay. Mine is also a little eclectic, more eclectic than I thought it would be, because I reflected back. I'm listening to a lot of stuff. I still have my standards, all of which is always listening to them. Standards like the Black Crowes and stuff. Ever since I was a kid, I would listen to that band. And so I'm not going to put them in there. I'm just going through my journey in 2025. So I think one of my top records was Pelican, Flickering Resonance.
I heard that was really good, but I didn't listen to that.
It is probably their best album. I've been a fan for a very long time now, but damn, they just came out of nowhere with that. Laurent Lebec hasn't been in the band in a long time, and he was like one of their main songwriters. I would say he was their main guy, and then they carried on without him, and they did some great work without him. But when he came back in, that original sound just came back. And for those who aren't familiar, a totally instrumental band. Yeah, really good, really vibey. I talked to Laurent a few months ago, and their titles are very poetic for being an instrumental band, and they're very thematic titles. They're almost visual. I was like, man, you could almost write lyrics to this stuff. Is there some story behind just the music? And I think there's themes, which is really interesting for an instrumental band. But yeah, no vocals, probably a masterpiece for them, I would say. It's right now my favorite Pelican record, and I've just blown away. Great guy to talk to, great band, hardworking, underground. And they're going for it in 2026 too. So they have a new EP coming out in 2026. They're back hardcore. The next one for me just came out of nowhere. This record was released in 2024. I've been getting more eclectic the older I get, so there's more in here that's not on the heavy rock side, which I found interesting, but the heavy, one of a kind, younger guy and girl just opened up for the Black Keys this summer. One of a kind. We put it on in the house, and it was just like retro, late 60s. It reminds me of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young with some of the melodies, and the Mamas and the Papas. It's very
On.
late 60s pop stuff, but the songs are there. They have the retro sound, but the songs are just amazing. Check it out. It's really good.
It's been fun to watch the retro sound come back. Even just with recording styles and things like that. I think Ben from All Them is doing a lot of cool stuff with his recording style.
Yeah, it sure is.
It's cool. I'll have to check that out.
And I'm going to say this too. You can be as retro sounding as you want. If the songs aren't there, it doesn't really matter. There's a lot of retro sounding bands floating around out there, and they're really capturing that analog feel. The songs are what matters the most. And so when you listen to the heavy, you'll see exactly what I mean.
Sweet. Writing it down now.
One that just came out of left field for me, and just last month, was a lady named Jessie Sykes. And she's been out for a long time. She's probably close to my age, Gen Xer, I'm assuming. I don't know much about her, but she released a record on Southern Lord Records, which is known for stoner metal, very heavy record label, independent, but gorgeous record. Jessie Sykes and the Sweet Hereafter. The album's called Forever I've Been Being Born. And another one of those records that just came out of nowhere for me, and I was just totally into the heavy psych rock, and then this drops out of nowhere. I'm like, oh, I'm just totally focused on this. Really good. That came out in November of this year, so it's brand new.
Oh, whoa. And that's Sykes, S-Y-K-E.
S-Y-K-E-S.
Yeah, I think I've seen her name before, but I just haven't delved into it.
Yeah, she's been around forever. Okay, we'll keep moving. Here's another one. Really weird for me. Not really in the bluegrass world at all, but my whole life I've been kind of low-key obsessed with open tuning guitars and like the dobro sound for some reason. I don't know why, but Billy Strings, man. Highway Prayers, the 2024 record. 2025 for me, got obsessed with that album. And it's not just straight bluegrass per se all the time. There's some kind of like psychedelic stuff. There's a song called Stratosphere Blues. And
Okay.
that really captured me. It's about addiction, and either it's about him talking to himself or he's talking to somebody else that's struggling. And it's not a bluegrass song, but it's really good. I can't even tell you why, but yeah, I just got into Billy Strings this past year, like hardcore. I was like, wow. And so I tell everybody about it. He doesn't need our help in this little tiny podcast we're doing.
That's fine though.
Yeah, I can't help it. It's what captured me, so I had to mention it.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Benjamin Todd at all? Just based on what you explained on what Billy Strings is like.
No, but I'll check him out for sure.
He's fun too. I think he also had a similar addiction story. He's actually from Oconomowoc. I believe he's from Oconomowoc, Wisconsin.
Oh,
So
okay.
right around the corner from me, but really interesting guy.
Yeah, okay, I'll check him out. T-A-T-O-D-E.
T-O-D-E. I can't remember.
Okay, yeah, I'll check him out for sure. Does he play guitar or is it?
Yeah, he's like outlaw country style.
Oh, yeah, right up my alley. I love
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed about myself, like of getting into that sound. I always like the early Skinner records and stuff. And when I was a kid, just getting into that stuff in the early 90s, we had a good Gen Xers did because we were seeing the resurgence of all the classic rock. So we were all getting that stuff, as well as the contemporary grunge and alt rock and the heavy metal coming out. So we got the best of both worlds. All that outlaw country it's rearing its ugly head towards me as I get older. So it's amazing.
Yeah, it's fun. And it's also like when you're listening to it cosplaying a little bit as you're walking, you're like, yeah, I am an outlaw, aren't I? As I'm
Yeah,
like,
I think, yeah.
back to the rubber job.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, to definitely have that history for sure. I'll say that.
Yes, absolutely.
As a rock and roller in my early 20s, yeah, a lot of stories. Okay, but we'll keep going. Another band I got into in 2025, the band Slift. Now, they've been around for a while too, and this is not a new album. I've been catching up with some of this stuff, and I think it's going through playlisting the genres closely related to All the Witches and King Buffalo. All these other bands start coming into your world, and Slift is one of them. They have an album called Uman from 2020, and that's a straight up masterpiece. If nobody here has heard that yet, go check it out. And Uman is spelled Ummon. I think I'm saying that right. It's another one of those band names where I think I got it.
Well, I have it written down. I've seen it on lists before, but I just haven't checked it out. So I'll do that.
Oh yeah, it's amazing front to back. If you're an All Them Witches fan, King Buffalo fan, definitely check them out. They're from France, so I know they've been to America. Hopefully they come back. I've been talking to a lot of bands from Europe, and they're having a really hard time getting here. Hopefully they can make that happen in 2026, so we'll see. Or Americans just might have to start going out to Europe and checking them out. Okay, so we'll keep going. Temple Fang. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of them. Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah, Lifted from the Wind. That came out this year or 2025, and pretty cool record, man. I was a pretty new fan. Hardworking guys. They're around my age, and they're just going out now, just getting started. That's another thing. Yeah, a lot of these bands, they're not young anymore. They're getting their mid 30s, early 40s, and just now starting to like really take off. Those guys are great, and they're hardworking, and that's what they want to do. Lifted from the Wind was a great record, and it's on Stickman Records. Everybody go check that out. Next, we got to mention our boys, Handsome Jack. Seen them several times this year alone. Have you seen them this year?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
They came to a venue right outside of Chicago, like an old, like 19 or 1890s venue. It was really fun to see it, like with the dance floor and stuff. They opened for a band. Shoot. I can't remember the name of the band they opened for, but he's a phenomenal harmonicaist. So.
Yeah, we talked about that, didn't we? Briefly on Instagram.
You saw the show right after me, and I'm completely blanking on the name of the band. And
yeah, I'm working on him too right now. I never heard of him before.
A song called Daddy Longlegs. There we go.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, they were okay, but man, Handsome Jack should be headlining, man. That's all I gotta say. But Get Humble, that was my record. And that's still my favorite of theirs. Until the new album comes out in February. Probably gonna have to try and get them on before that record comes out. Fucking great bands, man. Love them. I do have to do a shout out to Black Sabbath because we lost Ozzy in 2025. So I did go through a period of Sabbath worship when he passed. I had to listen to Black Sabbath like 24/7 for a week straight. So that's what I did. First album really captured me again. I hadn't listened to that stuff in a number of years. They don't need our help, but I just had to mention it because it just it's music that captured me this year, and it just took me back. So yeah, the first 4 Sabbath records pretty much got me for a little while.
I was telling one of my friends because I always forget how impactful that bell toll and Black Sabbath, that first
Right.
song. I remember exactly where I was when I first heard that. And it's one of those albums where you just know where you were, you remember you heard it, and it still gives you that same feeling, right?
Scared to death. You're like
Yeah.
freaking out, especially if you're a little kid and first
Right.
pretty wild. Okay, so going back to the independents, I'm gonna do 2 more and then we'll get into books.
Perfect. I also have one more that I thought of, so I'll wait till you're done. But yeah.
Keep them going.
Yeah.
We'd be here forever if I've listened to a lot more than just this, but I'm just trying to do some highlights.
Yeah.
A band that I really got into in 2025, Abrams from Denver, Colorado. Have you heard of them?
No.
Not a new band, Abrams, like the tank, I guess.
Okay.
The record's called Blue City. Their other records are pretty killer too, and I can't remember how I got into them. They're on Blues Funeral, so I think they just got into my algorithm, which makes total sense.
Yeah.
I was talking to one of the guys from Lowrider, and they're on the same record label. So you know how that crisscrosses in. You start talking about it. They're like, "Here, check this out." I guess that's when the algorithm works pretty well.
Right.
But yeah, they're a great band. Abrams, Blue City out of Denver, Colorado. I know they do have a new album coming out in 2026, so we'll be on the lookout for that. Let me know what you think if you like them.
Yeah.
Another sleeper. It's an old record. It's 5 years old. The Last Hum record. Have you heard this?
No.
This got swept under the rug from COVID, and I think their drummer actually passed away during that time too. But the album's called Inlet, Inlet. I'm just now getting hip to this, and I'm embarrassed, honestly, because what a great record. Heavy. If you listen to their 90s stuff, it's kind of a little poppy.
Okay.
Pop rock, I guess. I don't know. I'm bad at doing this, but this is a heavy, tone chasing, crunchy doom record almost. The vocals aren't heavy, but man, all the songs are great. Really great record. I'm a new Hum fan. I've heard everybody talking about Hum. It's like, yeah, I knew that song Stars from 1995, and that's an okay song, but this is completely different. Very good. I got it on vinyl as soon as I heard it, and I just listened to it all summer. It was really good. Hum Inlet, Inlet.
It's always fun when it reinvents themselves like that too. Or not reinvents, but there's like an evolution, right?
Yeah. And it's kind of sad because it's such a good record. And obviously they had tragedy in the band and then it kind of got swept away really quick. So that's why I'm bringing it back up. Go out on tour, fellas. Oh, one more, Becky. I got to mention this guy.
Oh, I love that album. It's got it. I didn't get it.
Oh. Well, you know how Parks is.
It'll be like in the middle of the day on a Tuesday. Yeah. Like, oh, I found some more. So then instead of you looking at the streaming.
I just found 100 records in my closet.
Exactly. Cool.
Yeah. Thanks, Parks. I actually got this February of 2025. He was opening for King Buffalo in Columbus at Scully's.
Nice.
And he was totally independent. This dude doesn't have to do this. All of which is pretty big, but he would just, I'm going out on tour with my bros. And he was at the merch booth. Couldn't have been cooler. I talked with him a little bit. I was trying to get him on the podcast, obviously. I was like, I know, dude, I'm just that guy in the crowd. I have some podcast, but I'd love to talk to you. And he's so elusive. It's hard to nail him. But hopefully that new album comes out this year.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. If you hear anything, let me know. I don't know. I've talked to Christian, but I don't know what's going on with the band and the new album, but man, come on.
I mean, based on what they played at the show we both just saw, it's great. It's fun. Yeah. And I love Christian's drumming style. I think it brings something different. It's a little bit more precise, right?
Yeah, he's more precise for sure. I
probably was great too, but I think it's just a different vibe that I really like.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, I saw him twice last month, the Columbus and Cleveland, and that's the best I've ever seen the band. Man, they were fucking crazy good. But anyway, y'all, J.R. Parks, go get it. If you can find it, good luck. It's totally independent. This guy is not putting this on Spotify. It's on Bandcamp. You can listen to it there. Oh, and Ben McLeod's solo album too, which I
still haven't checked that out. I love everything that he puts out, so I'm excited. I'm excited to check it out.
Yeah, it's all in instrumental guitar. There's nothing else.
It's just like butter when he plays guitar. It's unreal.
He's a beast. I know we're kindred spirits at, so I had to mention it. And we can keep going on and on if you want to. This podcast could be 3 hours long.
Exactly. One that I did want to mention, though, is Warp Riders by the Sword, because it was their 10-year anniversary.
Yeah. Warp Riders. Fuck yeah. They are
He's
hopefully going to have a new album out too in 2026, but I don't know. I've talked to Kyle. I've talked to Kyle several times, and I had a previous podcast, and he's an awesome dude.
Yeah.
And
Down to earth.
he knows me now. So hopefully they do some new music in 2026. I can't confirm that, but I'm so glad they're back. I just saw them a couple months ago too, and legends for sure. Great choice. Warp Riders is awesome. Do you like their later stuff? High Country. Have you heard that one?
I wasn't as much of a fan of it. I know a lot of people really liked it because it was synthy, right? I think I listened to it a few times, but I just wasn't, it didn't hit me.
Try it again. Try it again.
Okay, I'll do that, because then they had Low Country right after that, which was
Yeah.
an iteration of it, right?
Yeah, it's more acoustic. It's more of an acoustic version. That's an album you got to listen to 3 times in a row.
Okay, and I think it was one of those where I had been listening to Warp Riders a lot,
Yeah.
and I was expecting that, and that's not what it is, right?
No, you could go to Apocryphon. That's like another killer one, but that's more in their normal style. We'll see what they come up with, and hopefully 2026. We'll see.
Yeah.
Great choice. All right. Let's continue on. Are you good? Any more records? You feel free to say them as they come up. It's fine by me. Books. So I got 2. Okay. I can cheat, but I'm going to cheat right now because what I've been reading are these guitar books.
Oh, yeah, that's fun. So
Jeffrey Cundy, I think his name is. I've been obsessed with open tunings. I'm not a guitar player. I have some guitars and I've been making a lot of noise. So I treat them like toys and I just chase a sound, right? So my journey has been reading guitar books in open tunings, and these just came out this year. So if anybody's interested in open tuning guitars, check him out. It's a non-conventional way of learning different ways of playing the guitar, and that's just how my brain works. I just focus on the sound and a tone, and then I just find chords or notes and just kind of go from there. So that's kind of what I've been doing. A lot of these books, there's many of them, that many. So I have a lot of work to do in 2026 with that, but I just want to mention the first book, and you actually suggested this one to me.
Yes, I did. And you liked it?
Loved it.
Yeah, phenomenal, right? And also Geezer. Geezer's just a great writer.
Into the Void by Geezer Butler. What'd you think about it? I have thoughts.
I just love his storytelling style. I think he's very lyrical. Even when he's saying something that's just mundane, like a coffee shop story, it's just it's interesting. And it's also interesting to hear people's, like, his view of what happened, right? Because they're all the classic tales that everyone knows about Black Sabbath, right? And it's interesting to hear Geezer's take. Yeah, I enjoyed it. How about you?
Yeah, I loved it. I loved his origin story because I think those stories are really important, especially with kids nowadays, because I mean, these people are obviously icons and legends now, but these guys came from just horrible poverty. Birmingham in the 50s and 60s, it sounded oftentimes horrendous, but they did actually have like movie theaters and things like that, which sounds weird to say today because everybody's got that at their fingertips. But just the gratitude they had for the small amount of entertainment that they could get and what that small amount of entertainment did for their imaginations, how it inspired them to become who they were, is pretty amazing. I'm always amazed with those classic rock guys and a lot of their stories because they were so young and writing all this really intricate, prolific stuff. Not just Sabbath, but Zeppelin too. I don't know if you saw Becoming Led Zeppelin. Have you seen that one?
That's on my list, but I haven't seen it yet. No.
Yeah, it's like these young kids were Sabbath, Zeppelin, Allman Brothers, all these people were like in their teens and fully formed musicians. There's just a level, the word was so much more quaint back then, you know what I mean? And that's the big thing I took out of that book, actually.
Have you seen Beyond the Lighted Stage, Rush's documentary?
Oh, not yet. No.
That's another phenomenal one where it documents like early on, like Getty and Alex were friends growing up, right? They'd always been in bands since middle school. And it's always fun to hear those stories where everyone still gets along and everyone's Black Sabbath is a little bit more tempestuous, I think, but
Yeah.
they still have a little bit of that. And I think it's interesting to see that throughout the Geezer book, right?
Okay. What's one book that really inspired you this year?
Oh, I really liked from local Milwaukee author. Oh, shoot. It's fuzzying. De Kreutzen, Don't Say Please, The Oral History of De Kreutzen. So they're a punk band that originally came from Milwaukee. Milwaukee author Sahan just did a really good job interviewing people in the scene. And he's just got a really interesting way of interviewing people that dives a little bit deeper. He just asks the right questions. So I highly recommend it if you're interested in punk. It goes into the Milwaukee culture, but also punk overall in that era in the 80s. So
Okay. Great.
yeah, there's a publishing house in Milwaukee called Feral House that just does kind of avant-garde stories, and they just do a really great job with research, interviewing, that kind of stuff. So I'd recommend it.
As an author, have you ever thought about doing a book like that?
That's my van book. Hopefully, will be like that. I'm hoping.
Okay.
So I'm interviewing a lot of women, trying to get their stories on it. I was actually talking with Sahan on it, and it's interesting because when you first sit down with somebody, it's a lot of these stories are like, they're like, well, this is just my Tuesday, right? But to me, your Tuesday is really interesting. And
Yeah.
I'd like to know more about your Tuesday. So it's about not convincing people that their story is interesting, but getting them to understand that their story is worth telling, right? And that's half the battle, which is, it's fun if you do it right.
Yeah, it is. Even doing this podcast, it's interesting you have an interest and then you got to figure out, and I'm sure it's the same doing research for a book. You got to figure out what makes that person interesting to you. And then you have to really get introspective and figure out what you want to ask them because you got to distill it down into some format. So it's a skill set that I'm still learning and hopefully I get better at over the next year or two. It's cool, man. It's awesome to talk to all these different people. Okay, so I have a question really quick. It's just off the cuff, but what kind of got you into the retro van culture?
So it's funny. I was touring around in 2018, and just the way because I'm small independent, my fan base is awesome, but it's not enough to pay the bills.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it wasn't a sustainable touring thing. While I was working at the same time, it was just getting really hard. So I was looking for just a van to live in and tour in and keep all my stuff in, especially when you go to a city that you're not really familiar with. Sometimes you're staying in a place that, as a single woman, maybe not the safest place to stay, right?
Sure.
It's gonna be nice to have something to go off.
Right.
But also my budget was limited. So I wasn't looking at the white walled vans, the nice Pro Masters.
Yeah.
So I ended up finding a 1979 Chevy. That's just a beast.
Nice.
And it's super fun. Its name is Steven. Probably not for touring though. It's definitely not gas efficient.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right now, the engine broke a rod immediately. But through it, I got to know this awesome culture, this awesome banding culture. Milwaukee's banding culture is super strong. There's a band club called Rust Belt Bands, started by a local lady bander named Maggie. It's just a really fun group of people, and they're all doing super interesting stuff.
Yeah.
So I wanted to highlight that, especially the women's side of it, right?
Cool.
Because a lot of people look at old vans and they're like, oh, it's an old creeper van, or oh, it's an old guy driving a van. But there are a lot of women doing really cool stuff with their vans, and it's
Free candy vans.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I hear that, right? Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Like candy's not free, man. You got to pay for
In
it.
this economy, are you kidding me?
I relate to it a lot because like when we were younger, we band vans.
Yeah.
Boys and Handsome Jack have the classic band van still. Like it breaks down and stuff. Like yeah. So I've inadvertently been in van culture throughout my life. I bought a 1988 Dodge Ram conversion van. And it was going to be our touring van for my band out of high school, but we ended up breaking up. So I sold it to my buddies who went on a tour, and this had 250,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
And these gangsters just packed their stuff up in it and drove that thing all around the country twice before it blew up. I was like,
oh, how many miles did it get to?
Oh, I don't even know. Yeah, I should ask him next time I see him. Dude, remember that van? Like you drove that 17 times across the country and it had 800,000 miles on it. Like, how'd you do that? It's pretty amazing.
Dodge noses, they're so cool too. They're little nerds.
That's awesome. Are you gonna refurbish Steven?
Steven's already a conversion van, so it has it's all built out on the inside. One thing I might do, Maggie, who owns Rust Belt Vans, she's a upholsterer and she does woodworking. So I'm gonna have her help me design like a bed in the back. So it'll be fun. That's the kind of the fun thing about van culture too, is everyone kind of brings their own skill to it.
Right.
And everyone has their own style of, oh, well, I did this with my van. Have you considered this? Right? It's very communal. So yeah, I'm excited to. I'm trying to keep it as much original as possible, but as like you drive it and mine's not driving right now, but hopefully soon. But as you get around, you learn, oh well, this would be really nice. Then you start to build it out to fit you, right?
Right on. Cool, man. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be on the lookout for more content on that. And I find it interesting. I get a lot of memories flowing back in as I see pictures like that.
Yeah, it's fun. If you have any pictures of your dad, I would love to see it.
I don't think I do. I mean, my buddy might, maybe from back in the day, broke down in Arizona or some shit. It might be awesome to pick his brain on that. I'll have to reach out and see. I would love to have a van. That'd be cool. Maybe you're going to inspire me. Maybe I'll get a van.
Check out Facebook Marketplace right now. They're all over.
I'm in between
Oh,
vans,
Big
so
Brother.
it doesn't make a lot of sense right now because I'm
Yeah.
looking for a new project. This is the first time in 30 years I haven't been in a band, and I've actually enjoyed the time off. But that's
Yeah.
another goal of mine is to get into that. So maybe if I have the reason, I'll get a van for sure.
Yeah. I'll keep my eye out for you.
Cool. I can't wait. I have one more book, and
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm halfway in. I recommend it. The Uncool by this guy struggling
Crowe.
Cameron Crowe. Yeah. I don't know. Have you seen Almost Famous?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
The reason why I asked that is because I've been asking people in their late 20s, like early 30s, and they're like, never heard of it. I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah, I was like, come on. That's like the top 5 movies ever made. But this book really goes into that story even further. I'm only halfway in. But yeah, pick it up. Let me know what you think. This kid, he was just a 16-year-old kid, just getting these writing assignments in between high school classes. And he's interviewing Jim Croce and Graham Parsons and Emmylou Harris and Greg Allman. Toured with Led Zeppelin as their guy that they're writing stories for. And some people have just lived these insane lives, Cameron Crowe being one. I can't recommend this book enough if you're into the lore of rock and roll.
Yeah.
Just how he writes, it takes you right there. Like, obviously, none of us were born in the early 70s, but you can get the essence of the 70s music business from this book. I totally recommend it.
I love Cameron Crowe. So
Such an amazing read.
That just completely, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. It's weird because I don't know if I can explain this right. He just transcended genres. Like he's really connected. Like in his later life, like he was friends with Led Zeppelin and Leonard Skinner and the Eagles and all these guys and became really close friends with all these rock stars. And then started doing film, as we all know. And then did it all again in the Seattle scene in the early 90s. He became friends with Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains and Soundgarden. He's totally aligned with original American icon artists that are unique personalities. It's pretty crazy.
In that same vein, have you seen the Ben Fong Torres documentary? I think it's called The Life and Time of Ben Fong Torres.
No, I would love to. It's a documentary. Is he still around?
I believe so. I'm pretty sure.
Okay,
I hope
yeah.
feels better with him. So
where is that streaming?
it was on Netflix, but I'm not sure if it's there anymore. Last time I checked, it's one of those that I just continuously go back to because I find a lot of inspiration in it. But because he was just a very, very earnest guy who would be in the room with all of these legendary rock stars as they're partying, and he's just in the corner, like, all right,
Yeah.
like right, just like a little. But he's always been so authentically himself, and that's incredibly respectable, right? Because it's easy with any rock star culture. It's so easy to get swept up in the culture in the way that everyone else is doing things, right? But it's interesting to watch somebody who stays so completely themselves and still creates phenomenal work because of it.
Yeah, I will definitely check that out because I would love to see an interview with him and Cameron together if Ben is still around. We're going to find out, but that would be amazing to see. Cameron's out on tour for this book now, and Eddie Vedder's speaking and stuff. Was like, bring that shit like all across the country, man. Come on, let's go.
We want, especially like the Rust Belt too. I feel like the
Yeah.
local stuff.
Yeah, he has so many stories. He could write 3 more books. He could write a book on every relationship he's had with all these rock stars. It's pretty crazy. But I love his approach because inadvertently, before I even read this, my approach was for this podcast just to come in as a fan. And I've always said, I'm not a journalist. I'm not trying to do clickbait. I'm a musician just like you, and I'm a fan, man. And that's what I want to talk about. I'm not trying to get the headline and just to get people to click on this, probably much to the detriment of the success of whatever I'm going to do in the future with this. But who gives a fuck?
Also, I feel like that's the long lasting, that's how you don't burn out, right? Because if you're constantly trying to do something that'll feed the algorithm, then that's a way to burn out.
Right. I think I'm on the right path, and I'm gaining trust from people, and that's what I want. I just want to be in this community. I don't want to try and blow it up to a place where you have to do the clickbait, and it's all negativity, and a lot of the music media just feeds on that, just like the mainstream media does. And I think that's the approach Cameron took. Is I don't write album reviews, dude. I love your album. Let's talk about it. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
totally resonate with that.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. And also, what a great cover. It's such a cool cover.
Yeah, it's real stripped down. It's just this silly kid. I don't know what the story is on that picture yet, but maybe I'll find out. Part of the book that really struck a chord with me is he became friends with Leonard Skinner when they weren't big yet. He just loved their album, and he became friends with Ronnie Van Zant. And he goes through the story of their friendship and how really tight they were, and like what a great person like he was. And like the part he talks about the plane crash, and it just was so sick and sad in there. It just brings, again, it's such a good book because it just brings that human element to these legends. You know what I mean? And it brings that human element to the story. So, man, what a great book. Couldn't recommend him enough. I'm only halfway in. So,
It's always fun when somebody's lived such a full life and they are able to put the words to it, right? Because
Yeah.
that's like a double whammy of boom, you could tell the story, and boom, you have the stories. It's awesome.
yeah, he could write 3 more. Hopefully he does. It'll be great.
Fingers crossed.
Any other books for you?
Oh, let me see.
A million.
I brought a pile over here, but as I'm going through them, it's one of those where I was like, well, I'll figure out which ones. Ah, by Feral House as well. It's called Moondog, the Viking of 6th Avenue. Basically about a guy who lived in New York City. He's a street performer, but he was well known by everybody. He played with a few orchestras, very problematic ideologies. And it's interesting to read because he was blind, and half the time he would go against his ideologies simply because he couldn't see who he was talking with. Just kind of funny. But I think it gives a really interesting look on a super talented guy who it's that question of, can you separate the art from the artist? Like, he was not the best person, but his output was phenomenal. So how do you that? Like, he lived with Philip Glass for a while. He was rubbing elbows with all of these people, but he was always kind of in exile because of his philosophies were problematic. But super interesting read. Just it's always interesting to read an account of these people who were on the fringes of these popular rock and roll stories, right?
Right.
Like, oh, this guy who was in the corner of this picture, what's his story? And Moondog was like a guy who used to dress up as a Viking on 6th Avenue, right? So like, definitely in some pictures, but just didn't know the story about him. So I recommend it.
Okay, cool. That is interesting. Yeah, I'm getting better at separating the artist from the art from the artist. It's been difficult over the last 10 years because that's a whole different conversation I guess we can have, but I'm getting better at it.
And it's one of those things where I think I've been trying to think of it as it's one of those things where like art, once it is released from the person, it's its own entity, right?
Right.
It obviously, part of them will always be in there, but it's out there for people to make I remember Pink Floyd made their fans really mad, or I think it's Roger Waters made their fans really mad when he toured the Wall and he said, oh, well, actually, this is about 9/11 now. And the fans are like, not to me. Like, to me, this is about this, right?
Yeah.
And you can't define it once it's put out into the world.
Yeah, and there's a lot of memories and momentum attached to the art from the fan viewpoint. So it's really disruptive, I think, sometimes when the artist like says this is what it's about. It's okay. And I think that's where the static can break. I think most of us go to these shows to forget what's going on, at least for a little while. I'm not saying be totally oblivious, but just take a break. Let's go and have a good time.
Especially music has such like that, it's like smell, right? Where if you have a memory tied to a song, usually it'll come back to you. And then if somebody says, well, actually it's about this, then you're like, oh, and it is like a weird to your memory, right?
Yeah. But you can assume ownership the way you want, I guess. That's
Exactly.
the
And
freedom of it.
yeah, it's
Well,
one of the things that I try to return to because I think it's an interesting thing to think about, especially now that we have so much more access to artists and anybody can make a video and say exactly what they're thinking at any moment. I think that's an interesting perspective to a lot of people that we
yeah.
wouldn't have, right? For better or for worse.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. Well, we should definitely do this more.
Yeah.
A lot to talk about. We can both dig up some cool premises and have some more podcasts. That'd be cool. So I know we've talked a little bit about your work. Where can everybody find your work and support what you're doing?
Yeah, you can go to www.awshuckspub.com. That's where I sell all my books. Just a publishing house that I made myself just to sell my stuff. Other than that, you can find me on Instagram at Becky_Franzel. That's it.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, thanks for talking to me. That was really fun. I hope it was fun
This
for
was
you.
super fun.
Let's do it again soon. And for now, we'll sign off. But thanks again and talk to you soon.
Yeah, talk soon. Bye.